Favorite thing about your new home / lifestyle? Do you think you will ever go back to work outside of social media? This is a really good question because I wish I had have known. Do you ever miss living in Brisbane? Asked Ashley. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been so long. Feels really awkward talking to a camera again. I think it's been nearly like 2 months, possibly more, since I hopped on the camera to chat to you guys. So if you can't tell, I'm in a different filming space, and for those of you that might not follow me on Instagram, you may not know that I have just recently moved states. So I have moved from Brisbane down to the northern New South Wales region. I was expecting to be fully unpacked and ready to go for work this week, but it has been an interesting first couple of weeks, I'm not gonna lie. For those again that may follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that we fell down with gastro within the first 24 hours of arriving here, and it stuck around throughout the whole first week because it was transferring between all of us in the house, which was great. Apart from Winnie, he's the only one that didn't get it, which I was really happy about, because obviously it wasn't a very nice, I was gonna say disease. What's it called? Sickness. So yes, it's not a very nice sickness to have had. I'm just so glad that he didn't get it, but the rest of us did. So we were kind of out for the first week. I'm sorry if I look like a sweaty mess as well. My fan in here is extremely noisy. This is an older style house, so it's kind of hard to adjust to after being in such a modern build. It's also been really nice as well to have that change up. Gastro knocked us out for 6, and then after that I was just so exhausted. I can't really explain it, but anyone that's had this strain of gastro will know what I'm talking about. It just knocks you, and getting your energy back, anything that I did have, I was just putting into being a mum. So apologies for not getting this content out sooner, but the kids now have a daycare, and I'm surrounded by boxes still, but I'm finally in a place where I feel good to be filming again, and that's always what you want. So without further ado, I have a Q&A today, which I put the questions box over on my Instagram. So I know I've mentioned Instagram so many times already, I swear I'm not shameless plugging, but if you do want to come over and ever contribute to the questions or just catch up on what I'm doing day to day, then I do post most days on there. So anyway, I have a list of questions to get through. A lot of them were repetitive questions, so I will just be answering the most popular ones today. Naomi Thomas asks, what made you want to move away from the city and to more land? I'd love to do this. Quite honestly, it's been a dream of mine for a very long time to go back on to land. I grew up in my high school years on, I think it was 25 acres, so quite a big property, and I just really liked the peace and quiet of it. I think having my life online makes me crave that privacy when I am offline, and I've never been someone that likes to have houses right next to each other, but we moved to a house like that temporarily once we sold our house, to be up closer to my mum, and we kind of preferred the modern build purely for the size of the rooms that you got for the money that you paid. So we did that, and I knew that it wasn't going to be a long-term rental for us because, like I said, I crave that privacy, and I think it just became more and more obvious as time went on that it was the right thing for us to do, was to move to land, because the kids just craved being outside. And if you live in one of those, I call them sardine lots, then you will probably have the same kind of situation where the soil is absolutely shocking. We had more weeds than we did grass, and we tried everything. Like, we would reseed and kill the weeds and all the sort of stuff, and it just never stuck around. So if we owned a place like that, we would have ripped it up and put on nice topsoil and then more lawn. But obviously we were renting it, and for us it just felt like the right time to move and follow that dream that we had. Particularly, I think everyone, having gone through COVID, so many people are realizing that they want to see change, or they want more space, or a different kind of house after being cooped up for so long in it. So that partly probably sped the process up a bit, but we've always talked about moving onto acreage, or to having a bigger garden than what we had there, and even bigger than what we owned previously. I think we owned about 700 meters squared with our first property. And a question that I do often get asked when we moved here was, are we renting or buying? Personally, I don't think either is the better option. Obviously, from a financial perspective, yes, owning is probably better. But when we owned, we actually felt quite restricted, and it was a financial burden that I think a lot of people don't talk about. Well, they don't, because when we went into buying, we didn't realise how having an old property would just suck the money out of it. And so we definitely are looking to own again. Also the flexibility to decide where we want to have our forever home, you know, because right now we've just moved to a new town and a completely new lifestyle, so we don't know that we want to buy into this yet. So renting gives us that flexibility and freedom, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So that was a very long answer to the question, but pretty much it's just been a dream of ours for a very long time to be on land, and we decided to take the plunge. Life with Baby Leighton asks, favourite thing about your new home/lifestyle? So many things. Honestly, I feel like really corny when I talk about it, but I don't even know why I'm going to cry. But I feel a deep connection to nature, and I think for many years I didn't know that, or I wasn't at least aware of how much I appreciated the land. And so for me, I feel like my cup is full, and like even now I'm looking out at like the nature. I'll show you after this what my beautiful view is, but I just feel really connected, and my heart is full. And that sounds so ridiculous because, you know, I'm not really normally the spiritual type. I have, over the past couple of years, actually developed a bit more of a spiritual side. But I don't know what it is about being on land, but I think that's my absolute favourite thing about this move. It's big enough that we can have a ride-on mower, but it's small enough that we can maintain it, just me and Elle. And even so far, like, I've gotten out into my veggie patch, my veggie garden, and I'm trying to like cull anything or any of the crops that are dead or coming out of season. And I've been repotting, or actually starting from the seeds and growing some crops to then plant through autumn and winter. So yeah, I'm really, really keen to get more of a green thumb in. Like, I've always liked my indoor plants, but having the space that we do outside is just, yeah, it's everything and more that I could have hoped for. Jenna Lexis asks, do you think you will ever go back to work outside of social media? It's really hard to say. Right now, my focus is being a mum. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mum, and I absolutely love it, but I do need something on the side. For me personally, I don't know if it's just me, I'm sure it's not, but I personally feel that you lose your identity when you become a mother, or it's very easy to lose your identity, I should say. And so for me, having something on the side, like social media, really helps me to feel as though I am doing something right. I don't know how to really explain it, but as a mother, I'm constantly doubting myself, constantly trying to be better and all of that stuff. But my social media just is like it's a hobby for me, but it's kind of turned into work. So I think if I was to ever go back to work, it would be something to do with social media, whether that be marketing or, you know, I'm not really too sure what. But if it wasn't for myself, then it would probably be in the realm of social media for a company or somebody else. But for right now, I'm very content with my schedule and my balance with work and being a mum. That's been something that I've been really struggling with over the past year, is trying to cut myself a bit of slack, because I'm a person that goes 100% all the time, and so I'm my worst critic when I'm not being consistent with content or when things like that aren't happening. But especially moving here, actually, I've realized the importance of me being present with my kids. And I've always been present, but I'd also always have my work at my fingertips. So whether that be emails, commenting back to people, being on stories, being on TikTok, like whatever it may be, I've been really trying to take a step back and have significant downtime with my kids. My kids will always come first. And so that's probably why I wouldn't go back into a workforce unless I felt that they were ready to be more independent. And that might be when they go to school. It might not be. I'm not too sure yet. But I'm kind of just leaving it up to fate. I don't really want to plan it. I'm just seeing where things go. I'm enjoying myself. I'm prioritizing mine and my kids' happiness, and then whatever happens outside of that is great and a bonus. Monique Frank _2 asks, how are your fistulas? They're not great. Or a fistula, sorry, I should say. It is just one. But yeah, it's not great. After I had gastro, it flared it up really bad and it was super painful. I ended up getting a fissure off my fistula, which was great. But it seems as though this week is better. I am on Aunt Flo though, and whenever there's like moisture in the area, it's never great. Very TMI, but you know, that's what you come to me for. Where do you and Elle see yourselves in 5 years? Honestly, we don't talk about like big future plans anymore. Now that we've got kids, we try to remain in the moment. I'm sure work-wise, he probably has internalized goals, as do I. But realistically, I reckon in 5 years, obviously my kids will be in school. Ideally, we would like to own within 5 years again, own a house. But the thing is, we don't want to be rushed into it. We want to make sure that we find the perfect acreage, the perfect house. And that doesn't necessarily mean perfection in it. It just means perfect for us. And that's probably going to look like a little bit of a renovation internally. Hopefully no knocking down of walls, because I'm not confident with that. But yeah, definitely owning a house within the next 5 years would be a goal of ours. But otherwise, the goal genuinely each year is to just fill our cups up and be happy. So whatever that looks like at the time will be what we do. And I think Elle is a very easygoing person when it comes to goals and things like that. Like, I think he's quite flexible, other than being financially stable. But for me, I probably more so navigate our goals because he is so chill about everything. And so for the past year, like I said, I've just been working on our happiness as a family and quality time and all of that stuff. So our current goals are to just live in the now. That's the main one. Like, live in the moment, enjoy the moment, trust that everything happens for a reason. And it all sounds really corny, but it is true. Like, that is the motivator behind our goal. Like that is what our goal is right now. It's just for mental health to be a priority, happiness to be a priority, our kids to be a priority. Like, they are our goals. So a bit lame, I'm sure, for an answer for you guys, but it's just the truth, really. Now, I had a few questions about baby number 3, and I just want to put a reminder out there, guys. I'm sure you hear it all the time, but I'm just going to reiterate it. Please don't ask people directly when they're having a third baby, or when they're having a second, or when they're having any babies, or whatever it might be. It is really triggering for people, particularly if you've been following me since I had Oswin. You know, it wasn't a huge TTC journey, but we definitely struggled. Well, comparatively to Darcy, it's definitely not a struggle in comparison to a lot of other women, but just a reminder to be careful with the words that you use, because you don't know that I haven't been trying to have a baby, you don't know the current situation. To squash any rumours, I am not currently trying for a baby. Another part or aspect to asking when someone is having another baby is that, like, I have significantly suffered with PNA and D in the past, with like probably the year and a half after having Winnie. And so for me, having a third child right now would be not great for my mental health. And so when I have external pressures to be producing more children, when I'm already struggling mentally, that is a huge pressure to put on somebody. So please just be careful and mindful. I had quite a few people saying, when's baby number 3? Or are you having more kids? And I totally understand the inquisitive, or like the curiosity behind the question. I too sometimes have to stop myself and think, no, don't ask. Even my family, like even my sister-in-law and my closest family, I make sure to filter and don't ask whether they're planning on more kids. They'll let me know when they want to tell me, So yeah, just be mindful. You just don't know what's going on. And like I said, it can make someone feel like they're not good enough, particularly as a mum. We already have so many things where, we're constantly told to do this and this and this. And if somebody's asking constantly when a third one is coming along, like some people don't want a third. It's just really hard to explain it, but just be careful with how you say things. Stephanie asks, the hardest thing about moving interstate. This is a really good question because I wish I had have known all the things to do with an interstate move. You kind of have to learn all of the policies of that state, and thankfully Elle's family lives here, so they can kind of guide us along. But simple things like ambulance cover isn't automatically covered in New South Wales. You have to pay for that. We have to get our car re-registered. We have to redo our licenses. There's a ton of admin-y stuff that you don't think about. I think because we are so close to the Queensland border, it doesn't really feel like an interstate move, but it was significant of a move enough to during the move with a truck to definitely feel like it was interstate, if that makes sense. But when it comes to the actual living every day to day, it just feels like I'm living in Queensland. It doesn't feel any different. But probably the toughest part of the interstate move was the unknown costs due to potentially not returning the bond. The cost of the truck, we got quoted $2,000 based on our estimate, which is always so hard to do because how do you guesstimate a house worth of stuff, and we paid the $2,000 ahead of time, and then the day came and we used up I think we used up 55 meters squared in the truck, which was huge and definitely not what we expected. So there was another $1,500 that we had to fork out on that day. So financially it's a big cost, and that was just the truck. There was tons of other things like the bond clean, because we were going to be so far away. It just was worth the reassurance to know that a cleaning company could go back and fix up any of the bits that the real estate might have had a problem with. But there was a few other things too. What were they? And the same with any kind of move, we had to fork out the bond and the couple of weeks rent while we transferred houses. So it's kind of like the double cost that you would normally have plus the truck. And then there was something else, and I can't think of what it is. It's going to bug me now. But there was something else that was quite significantly costly to us. Yeah, I'm trying to think what it is, and I can't think of it. But there was a number of different costs involved with the move, and that was kind of hard because a lot of them weren't fixed prices. Otherwise, it's been pretty easy. I think if it had have been Brisbane to Melbourne, it would have been a completely different thing. But for us, I think because we had a lot of planning involved with it, we worked out what days we were going to take trailer loads down and put them into storage and all that kind of stuff. It didn't feel overwhelming until I had the gastro, really. It was kind of all going really smoothly and had no issues. So yeah, hope that answers the question. I know I've had a couple of comments from people in here saying that they want to do it. They want to make the move interstate too. And I just say, if you really, if you've been thinking about it and pondering about it a lot, then what's the harm in trying, it's not like you can't undo it. It's not like we couldn't move back to Brisbane if we wanted to. It would be a big cost, but that's kind of how I'm viewing it. I'm I don't have to put that pressure on myself for it to be a forever thing. Same with jobs. Like when you leave high school and someone's like, you must pick a job, and you like have that pressure to do and be that for the rest of your life. It doesn't need to be that stressful, you know, like if you just want to try something out, then try it out, you know, and see if you like it. I did a lot of research, and I think there's a question in here that talks about how long, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so Kat Johnston asks, how long did it take you and Elle to find your place that you're living in now? So we were looking at the market for about 6 months before we pulled the plunge and came down to inspect this property. It's just a terrible rental market. I think it's a terrible market for everyone except for sellers. Oh, and landlords, of course. But I think, yeah, it would have been 6 to 8 months, quite a significant amount of time. I had been on Marketplace for probably a year, like in general, but then I started to really hunker down and start taking properties seriously from about October. Are we closer to family with the big move? Yes. So Elle's family lives down in New South Wales and mine live in Brisbane. So the main reason, or one of the key factors in the move, was to have our kids growing up with their cousins. So yeah, that's one of the main reasons we moved and chose this location, because really we could have been on land anywhere, but we wanted to be down closer to some kind of family with that move. So it just made sense, and for us it was really important for the kids to grow up around family and like cousins. So a question that I'm seeing pop up quite a bit is, why did we move? And I think I've covered off most of them in this video, but just to be sure I will cover them off again. So first one was family, like cousins, practically siblings essentially, but without having the hard work of pushing more out, you know. So there's that reason. Then there was the land. We wanted to be having more space and to be closer to nature. The third reason is for the kids' energy. We wanted to give them that space to run around and for me to get my green thumb in, and just lots of nature reasons. And the last reason is affordability in the area as well. So it gave us the lifestyle that we were wanting without having to fork out heaps of money, because another area that we looked at and loved was Mullaney, but it's also super duper expensive there. So it's like, you got to kind of pick your battles, you know. Another question that I'm seeing pop up commonly is, how did the move go and how are the boys adjusting? They literally, you wouldn't know that this wasn't their house for forever. The only time it becomes obvious is when we're driving into, like when we're pulling into our driveway and Darcy goes, oh, look, it's our new house, and he just loves it. So I think for them, they've gained a lot more of a lifestyle as well, because like I said, our old yard used to just be mud and dust and weeds, so we very rarely let them out in the garden, just for prickles and all the rest of that. But they're literally living outside during the morning and the afternoon, when, because it's quite a shady acre, like it has a lot of trees in our garden, and so it's shady for the majority of the day. Like the middle of the day is a bit sunny out in the main garden, so like it'll make sense when I do the house tour, but off our veranda is kind of like a secluded garden, and then outside of that you've got like field down the bottom and like more what's the word I'm looking for, grounds on the side and the front. But the main spot that the kids play in is off the veranda in this like main garden area, and in that area it gets sunny from about like 11 a.m. New South Wales time, and then it comes shady of about 3 p.m, which is fine because they normally nap in the middle of the day anyway. So yeah, they've really, I think, enjoyed the move, because for them it's a lot more outside time than they ever used to get in the old place. So I think they're really adjusting well, and sleep-wise has been great. The kids have moved into the same room together, and we're literally about to set up Woody's bed today and transition him to the bed. We're gonna put up what's it called? My brain can't function. The gates, like the bedside thing. Do you ever miss living in Brisbane? Asked Ashley. No, I don't. And that's really crazy for me to say, because I was really worried that I would miss that availability to, and access to things. Here, you'll be lucky if a shop is open on a Sunday. So it's a bit of an adjustment with that. But in terms of the traffic and all of the other things that come with city living, I do not miss at all. And I'm still getting used to the fact that I can walk around my house naked and no one can see me. And that makes my heart so happy. Like, I'm a nudist at heart. So, which is ironic given what I do on social media. But yeah, I love walking around my house and in the nude. And you couldn't do that in the city. Well, I couldn't do that in the city without fear that someone was going to see me and, you know, all the rest of it. Not that it really matters, because at the end of the day, YOLO. But it's just that peace of mind to know that you aren't being watched by someone seedy. You know, you just don't know. Vintage Sweetness asks, will you still be doing Shop With Me videos now that you've moved? I definitely will. To be honest, if you have a look at my channel, I don't often do them. I'll do them occasionally, and you'll probably more likely see me do a lot more thrift shopping down here. But, you know, we've got major cities within driving distance, and even the Gold Coast I could drive to, and I probably will do work trips, either for events or to see my family or whatever it is, and I will likely combine a shopping trip within that, because I love a good shopping trip. So don't worry, there will be more to come. And I think we covered on this earlier, but I'm going to end it off on this question. How has your life changed since the move? Are you happy? Honestly, my happiest that I have ever been. Like, I'm trying to think back to a time that I felt this happy, and I can't think of one. Just getting into nature has, like, made my heart so happy. And I don't know if you guys are going to believe this, or if I'm just going to sound cuckoo crazy, but there's this, I'm trying to think what it's called, but there was this like YouTube channel, and someone on TikTok said that they got to see their past life by meditating to this video that was on YouTube. Anyway, I gave it a go, and this was before we even locked in coming down here. That was a tongue twister. But I did that meditation video thing, and I kid you not, I was like in tears because I was like in nature. Like, I was sitting, I don't even know what realm of fashion decade it was, but it was like 1800s, something like that. And I was sat in a garden, but it was like an English castle garden. Like, it was so detailed in my head. I thought I was going crazy, because I was like, how would I even get this image in my head? Like, I haven't watched anything from that era. So yeah, it was crazy. And I was sitting in this garden, and it was the only thing that was bringing me happiness at the time. So I'm not too sure. Obviously I should do the meditation again and see what comes into my head. But it's apparently a real thing where if you do this meditation and it guides you through all the process, it like shows you what your past life was. And so I think that for me has like reinstilled it didn't reinstill the desire to be here, because I always wanted to be here, but it kind of gave me acknowledgement as to why I wanted to be here. Something that was so truly soul strengthening. Like, I sound like a spiritual nut right now, because like I literally never talk about this. I never talk about my spiritual side on social media, but it's definitely come to life over the past couple of years. I've definitely started to acknowledge and appreciate spiritual guides, gems, any kind of thing to do with the spiritual realm I'm pretty into now. And so when it came to my mind, this like meditation, I was just gobsmacked, because at that point I was looking at land, but it hadn't clicked at the time that was why. And it was only when I was like on the hunt for a house that I realized, and I put connections together, like that's probably why I have this deep soul connection to nature, is from a past life. So yeah, who knows if that's real? You're probably going to think I'm crazy. I hope you enjoyed today's video and questions. I'm sorry if I didn't get to answer your questions today, but I've literally been filming for 44 minutes. I know that's not probably what you've seen, but I should probably wrap up today's video. So if you have enjoyed it, please go down and hit the thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you are new. I normally create fashion content, shops with me's, and of course my new sewing journey, which I'm going to be revamping. It's just behind the camera. I honestly haven't had the chance to do any sewing, so I have a couple of projects in mind and I cannot wait to get my fingers, I was going to say dirty, but that's probably not the right analogy to use for material. Anyway, I'm rambling now, so I hope you all have a wonderful day wherever you are, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.